Visit abateservices.com for fast medical transcription service. This podcast episode is brought to you by AB Music Creative.
For 3.5 years, she was misdiagnosed by everything. So when we had an appointment, I'm like, you think she can get a chest x-ray to look at her lungs? They never did that the whole time because they thought maybe it was just it's a reaction, right? They did a chest x-ray and then they gave her a phone call and said that you might need to see a pulmonologist. First clue if something's wrong.
So how did you feel when she got the call?
Actually, it was, for me, it's more of relief. That means we're moving forward towards a diagnosis. We have to see the problem first before we can solve it. Then the pulmonologist sees her and says, you need to see a rheumatologist. What's a rheumatologist? You Google it up. So we're thinking, autoimmune diseases, there's so many of them. All of them are really, really bad, right? So, she has to go see a rheumatologist. Maybe it's nothing, right? Maybe something is easy. Then she finally calls while the kids are working, and then I'm like, so what is it? And scleroderma. I'm like, what? What's that? Oh, it's autoimmune, so I probably have to go through some medication and that kind of stuff. Okay, worst thing you can do is Google scleroderma because this thing kills. In some cases, you're gone within a couple of years. But yeah, my face turned white, and on my way home, I drove up the mountain, no signal or anything. I'm just like, and prayed. I'm like, what do I do? It's like, this is I don't know what this is, right? This is confusing. Is my wife gonna die? And I'm like, all right, what's the next step? And then the next appointment was that you have 5 years.
Welcome to the Pacos Place podcast. Rejuvenate your smile with Dr. Lourdes Capelong's comprehensive range of dental solutions. Along with general dentistry, Dr. Capelong specializes in cosmetic dentistry, including teeth whitening, bonding, dental veneers, and surgical crowns. Whether it's urgent care or preventive treatment, she'll take care of you and your smile. To schedule an appointment, call the clinic at area code 323-257-7582. Exciting news, guys! Our summer flight giveaway is officially here, and we are thrilled to offer you the chance to win one of 20 free flights. Whether you want to surprise your loved ones or treat yourself to a spontaneous getaway, this giveaway is perfect for you. Participating is easy. Simply download the SendWave app and register. Make sure to enter promo code Paco if this is your first time sending. From August 11th to September 8, 2023, send $300 or more using SendWave and you'll automatically be entered into the draw for a chance to win. But wait, there's more. To boost your chances of winning, for every additional $100 you send, you'll earn an extra entry into the giveaway. So the more you send, the higher your chances of winning a free flight. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to send money with love and potentially win a memorable flight experience. Download the SendWave app, enter the giveaway, and get ready to embark on an incredible journey. But right now, let's go for an incredible podcast. And the podcast will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, live at Pacos Place, Emmanuel Munda.
Why am I clapping for myself?
Why not?
Well, that's true.
Diba? Good to have you, man.
Good to have you.
I think this will be a nerd talk, creative talk, which is good.
We're gonna geek out. It's podcast tech show.
Let's geek out.
Funny.
Let's talk podcast because you mentioned off cam. You used to have a podcast during the pandemic.
Yeah, I used to have 2 podcasts.
So, talking about what?
Well, the first one I was doing it for the Scleroderma Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization that raises funds to cure scleroderma. It's autoimmune disease that my wife has. For a lot of people, it's skin hardening, scleroderma. My wife has it. The worst case scenario.
So sometimes her fingers would be what?
Yeah. Well, for
tender.
her. Well, no, they turn blue and gray because she doesn't have circulation, but she has it mostly in her lungs. So she's only...
That's not nice.
Yeah, I know. She's only working off of 50%. At one point, we were actually ready to push the button for the double lung transplant, but miracles happen. And
amen.
She's alive now. They gave her 5 years to live, and it's been...
How long?
It's been 12 years since her diagnosis. So... yeah, it's a miracle. But yeah, I used to work for the Scleroderma Foundation as community development, and so I was in charge of events, and I had 12 events lined up in 2020, and all those events went
because of the pandemic.
So we had to figure out how to serve our community, and so not only was I teaching all our support groups how to use Zoom, so I was I sat down for 2 weeks learning everything I need to know about Zoom, streaming, fundraising, integration, all that stuff. I was in Zoom calls with Fortune 500 companies and just major nonprofit organizations to figure out what we're all going to do. And I'm like, we can do podcasts. I think it'll be very informative to keep people aware of what's
about scleroderma.
About scleroderma, and not just and what we're doing as a foundation for them. And so we just started, and we were interviewing, and before we were just a local organization where we were talking to people just around Southern California because that was our chapter. But now we were interviewing people from Maryland and Canada, and then suddenly UK, India, and we became international. So that built up and created a lot of traction to scleroderma awareness. I became sort of like the face of scleroderma because everybody saw me every other week doing a podcast, and so we actually had a major, a major pharmaceutical company email me personally and say, hey, we want to support your foundation. And it ended up...
Is the foundation still around?
The foundation's still around.
And they still support it?
And they still... Yeah.
No, can they, like, if we put the link in the description?
Yeah, definitely. myscleroderma.org for the Scleroderma Foundation of California.
Okay.
But the pharmaceutical called up and said, we want to support all your virtual walks because we couldn't do any walks. And it did. And as it turns out, the same pharmaceutical company that called us was the same. We funded their research to get their medication for scleroderma approved, that if my wife ever gets really sick again, they can actually use that medication.
Amen.
So
it's not called remission, right? No,
they don't call it remission. It's more just we call that stability.
Stability.
Yeah, so it's a plateau.
So the scleroderma is kind of dormant.
Yeah. Well, she's had complications this year, but right now it's dormant, and that's all we can ask for.
I wanna know. Do you have a nickname?
Oh gosh, yes.
What is it?
Jing.
Parang ang layo, no? Emmanuel tapos Jing. What's up with that?
I think it was my parents' pet names for themselves.
Okay, this is.
What's your name? Paco.
My name is Enrico, and then my name is Paco. But oh my God! So my brother's name is Emmanuel. My mom's nickname is Jing Jing.
Oh, what happened?
Weird.
This is like kismet.
So kismet, right? It's like
I was meant to be here.
What?
To be named after your brother, but have a nickname of your mother. That's
right.
That's so meta.
I was gonna say. Okay, so how long have you been married?
We just celebrated our 19th anniversary yesterday.
Happy anniversary!
Thank you.
Now, when you met, I'm gonna ask you personal questions because your story and what you did for your wife and what you do every day, that's something that maybe couples can pick up. And 19 years married. How long ago did you know that she had scleroderma?
2012. So 11 years. Yeah.
Okay. So when that happened, how did you feel personally? And what did you say in your head?
Oh man. Oh.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids.
Okay.
One is 18, so about to start college, and one is 15, and she goes to the high school for the arts.
So they were kids. When you found out your wife
6 and
had
3
scleroderma.
Yeah. I mean,
your conversation with yourself. That's what I want to know.
Well, this is even crazier than can easily be explained as the doctor saying, "Yeah, scleroderma." It's not. I mean, she's been 6 and she was pregnant, and we almost lost our daughter 2 or 3 times.
So second pregnancy.
Something triggered. And she started coughing while she was pregnant, spotting at 3 months. They were about to terminate the pregnancy. At 6 months, started spotting again, and we were back in the hospital. And, that was a hard one because we just dropped off our son at my mom's and be like, okay, we'll see you later. But she ended up being in the hospital for 4 days. And they were like bringing in the preemie doctors, and we were like, okay, just in case we might come do an early birth.
Yeah.
No, my daughter stayed in for a full 9 months.
Dang.
She wanted to stay in there for a little bit longer, but because she was pregnant, they couldn't do any tests. But my wife kept on coughing. They thought maybe it was just a hormonal thing for her, and she kept coughing and coughing. She went to what's the first one she did? An asthma specialist, right?
And you were just taking it easy during this time.
Yeah, we're just like, okay, if the asthma specialist figures it out, and we'll figure it out. And then it didn't work. And they'll took her to, maybe you should see an allergist. Maybe you're actually allergic to something in the home, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, we'll give you more allergy medicine. So first asthma medication and then allergy medication. I'm like,
while she was pregnant?
No, this is after. Yeah,
okay.
So for 3.5 years, she was misdiagnosed by everything. And at one point, I'm going, well, if you're taking every single allergy medication, you shouldn't be allergic to anything. You should be totally immune.
Yeah.
Right? You should be able to breathe because you have all that asthma medication in you. So
all the albuterol, all the...
Yeah, exactly. So when we had an appointment, I'm like, you think she can get a chest x-ray to look at her lungs? They never did that the whole time.
What?
Yeah, because they thought maybe it was just it's a reaction, right? And then they did chest x-ray.
So you suggested that?
I suggested that. Yeah, of everybody. Mind you, I did bio pre-med when I was in college. But they did a chest x-ray, and then they gave her a phone call and said that you might need to see a pulmonologist. Like, first clue if something's wrong. Then she goes sees a pulmonologist.
Were you there when they called her?
Yeah, I think I was there for the pulmonologist call.
Okay, so how did you feel when she got the call?
Actually, for me, it's more for relief. That means we're moving forward towards a diagnosis. I'm the person that I want to see we have to see the problem first before we can solve it.
Okay.
I'll get more into that later because there's a whole philosophy behind that. And then so then the pulmonologist sees her and says, you need to see a rheumatologist. So after a pulmonologist, she gets a CT scan, right? And you need to see a rheumatologist. We're like, ooh, what's a rheumatologist? You Google it up. So we're thinking, autoimmune diseases, there's so many of them, and a lot of them are really, really bad, right? We've never heard of the word scleroderma, mind you. Because the first thing you say was like, sclero what, right? So all right, she has to go see a rheumatologist. I had to teach that day. I was teaching music production at the High School for the Arts, right? And in my class at the time, we had artists like Fiona Gray, Phoebe Bridgers, all these big time now, right? And like, I'm trying to get a hold of her. I'm texting her. She's not answering. I'm trying to call her. She's not answering, right? And then she's like, oh, I'm having lunch with Marina. I'll call you later. I'm like, oh, I'm like, seriously? So for like an hour, I'm like, I'm trying to teach, right? I'm just, maybe it's nothing, right? Maybe it's something that's easy. Then she finally calls while the kids are working. And then I'm like, so what is it? And the scleroderma. I'm like, what? What's that? Oh, it's autoimmune. So I probably have to go through some medication and that kind of stuff. And I'm going, okay, worst thing you can do is Google scleroderma. Because this thing kills. I mean, I'm talking about like in some cases you're gone within a couple of years.
But she was nonchalant when she was talking to you about it.
Yeah, she's like that. She is probably the strongest person I know.
Amen.
Because I've seen her at her weakest point and she's still strong and smiles, right? But yeah, my face turned white and I was just like the entire class was trying to figure out, Mr. Munda, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know yet. And on my way home, I drove up the mountain, up
Angeles
Crest, as far as I can. No signal or anything. I'm just like, and prayed. I'm like, what do I do? It's like, this is, I don't know what this is. right? This is confusing. Is my wife gonna die? All the thoughts in my brain, and then drove down and like, all right, what's the next step? Oh, we have another appointment next week. So go to the next appointment.
The day to day, no, that's the hard.
Yeah.
You talking about it, it's like listening to the summary is already nerve wracking. I'm imagining the day to day, the hour to hour, the minute to minute.
Yeah, and it was
Plus, your life has to go on in spite of
exactly. We still had to have my daughter's third birthday was happening. We got to get through that. We have to get through all these things, and then the next appointment was that you have 5 years.
That's what the doctor said.
But the doctor's like, we love this doctor because she can give you the worst news but smile. Okay, this is what we're gonna do, right? So we're gonna make you an appointment for chemotherapy, and that's what she had. We're like, wait, what? And so it was like we kind of kept it quiet because we were still trying to understand it, and so like the only way we could tell people was like an Instagram post of her with all the chemo bags and everything for her like first chemo treatment, and then sent it, and it just like my inbox flooded. My phone call. Yeah, they're like, "What's happening?" Right? Because she always looks healthy, but we knew there was something wrong. But from then on, we became pretty much like advocates and to raise awareness for scleroderma, because not everybody knows about it. But even though there's 300,000 Americans that have it, so it's not rare. It's the same as MS. Right, and her condition, even though her condition is a lot, just different varying conditions of scleroderma. Even though hers is like the 30% of the 10% of the 30% of the worst cases. Yeah. Because of that and the awareness, we went to a walk. Got introduced to everybody within the scleroderma community. I got introduced to the top doctor of scleroderma. So he wanted to go see her. Doctor First, if you have scleroderma, see Doctor First.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Daniel First. But he wrote the book. He was one of the writers who wrote the book on scleroderma. And that's how much connected he is. And sort of like, guided her own rheumatologist who actually learned under Dr. First while they were at UCLA. About scleroderma, so they were communicating, and she has like the best medical team possible, which is a blessing right there. And like for me, it's the utong sa loob.
Utang na loob, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I got to help out, so I started volunteering, organizing events, right? So all the major walks and all that stuff. And then they're like, "Hey, you're doing so much work. You want to get paid for it?" So they hired me to do events for us, and they're like, "Hey, you do more than the event. You do social media and all that stuff." And so we need you as a community.
So this became your advocacy.
It
became your mission.
Yeah. It became my mission, per se.
While your wife was going through treatment.
Yeah, because I was being able to figure out what that best treatment is as well too. For my brain, it's like I need to know as much as possible and to be able to translate it to her. Now, mind you, there's like, she's been ER'd several times. She's been hospitalized to like point of like almost losing her a few times as well too. So it's like, I always need to fix, like a guy thing. It's a guy thing. Yeah. You want to fix things, but you have to have the tools to do it. So I'm educating myself along with it. I'm like reading CT scans with the doctor and be like, what's that mean? And the thing is, my college career is I was a music major. Then I switched to bio pre-med because I had really bad handwriting, and then I went into film and television, right? But during the bio and pre-med, I learned a lot. So doctors, it's hard for doctors to talk to me in layman's terms. I kind of want to know exactly what enzyme, blah, 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 blah.
Like, don't downplay it.
Exactly. And because my wife does not want to hear it as well, too, because I'll tell her what's going on, right? I'll tell her, okay, why we're doing 8 hours of chemo every month for 2 years. That was the situation. But, that also, makes me realize how short and valuable life is. That if you're stuck doing something that you don't like or is mentally draining and emotionally suffocating, you just pull yourself out of that.
Because you can. You're not a tree.
No, you're not a tree, and you gotta grow, and you got find the people around you. So it's been a trip, especially since the pandemic, and I think it was actually a great opportunity.
So the pandemic was a challenge between both of you.
The challenge because she was
autoimmune.
Yeah, we actually had to put a big warning label outside saying that immunocompromised individual, please do not come in. That was a big deal for us. And she has caught COVID, but the good thing was it was after
the alpha. So what? After the vaccine.
Oh, yeah, man. And I think that's what allowed her to survive. But even though if she does get any kind of COVID, or if she does get any kind of virus, it'll take her weeks instead of days. Us will be like, a cold for 24 hours. Now for her it'll be like 5 weeks.
So what's your mindset now, knowing you have this, knowing time is valuable between both of you, and you guys as a family, among all of you? I mean,
I just do it. I mean, we are all given opportunities, and if you don't seek out those opportunities, you're just going to stay in the same place, right? I started businesses during the COVID, right? I started a barbecue sauce business. That's now my partner has now taken it into a deli.
Wow! You want to say it, but at least people can.
All right, you got to go to Bruce's Twisted Barbecue in is it Sunland? Yeah. Or Shadow Hills, and try out the BBQ sauce. We have like 7 different flavors.
You made it.
It's awesome. Well, I made it with a partner. It was my friend of mine. We were just in back of the church during service, like we always do. And well, he was kind of down because he wanted to start a food truck business, but he got screwed over by a silent partner. But I'm like, let's start from simple.
Yeah.
What about a sauce? And I'm like, what about this name? His name is Bruce Biba. Shout out to Bruce. And let's call it BBQ. And I told him, BBQ sauce company.
Oh,
and I'm like,
God.
I'll partner with you and help you get this thing launched if I like the sauce. And we go home that day. I get a call at 5:00. Hey, meet me at the church parking lot, not the church parking lot, at Rite Aid or something. And then he's like, try this and this. And I think it was the honey mustard and the bourbon sauce. And I'm like, ooh.
How many products do you have now?
Oh, geez. I think at the most before, because we had beef jerky and all these other things that we were trying out, at the most we had about 14 SKUs. Now I think it's down to like just 6 or 7.
6 or 7 of the best SKUs.
Of the best flavors. Yeah. And the way the deli works is you choose your meat, you choose your sauce,
right.
You put it in a sandwich, and it's good stuff.
So there's one, BBQ. What else do you have?
I have camper snaps. So I started that as a challenge.
Camper
snaps.
What are those?
Camper snaps is a photo booth in my vintage camper. My vintage camper. So we have my wife.
You have a vintage camper.
I have a vintage camper.
So it's not called an RV. It's a camper.
It's a camper.
Okay.
A vintage 13 foot Scamp. 88 Scamp. 88 is vintage now.
I know.
It's sad. It's very sad. Isn't it sad?
Makes me want to call myself a relic.
Gosh, a relic. Back in my days, in 1991.
I'm a relic.
So we used to love camping a lot, and when my wife got sick, it was harder for her to go tent camping because it would get really cold and it was really bad. So we started renting vintage campers because she wanted to be cute,
right?
And had to be able. And my Prius back then had to be able to pull it. So we rented from my friends over at Happier Camper. They're now big. Go buy a Happier Camper if you can afford it. But we were renting these things, and she fell in love with them. She said, "We gotta find one." And so for like a few years, I'm on a search to find a vintage camper, and they weren't cheap.
So it fits 4 of you.
It fits 4 of us, yeah. I mean, even my kids are big now, but they can still fit 4 in their little bunk beds. But you only camp like once or twice a year. So that thing is 99% sitting in the driveway, and I got to figure out what to do with it. And October 2019, I needed an excuse to leave my job in the corporate world.
What were you doing at the time?
I was doing international video distribution, so satellite uplinks.
Yeah.
fiber optic distribution, multi-level television platforms. I had major clients like WWE, NASA, White House, all those major people. But it was a 9 to 9 job.
Dang, 12 hours?
12 hours, 4 days a week.
Well, not bad.
Not bad.
I mean, you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Well, no, I was working from
Saturday?
Thursday to Monday.
Oh, shoot.
Thursday, Friday, and Monday, something like that.
Not good.
But I was also teaching it at the same time. So I was teaching
Music production.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I have to set up my class Mondays, Wednesdays. So I was working 8 days a week in a 7-day schedule.
Yeah, then taking care of your family. Yeah,
taking care of my family, and I was still working part time in nonprofit. So it's like.
All those things.
It was all those things, but I was younger and it's like orange. Yeah. But I needed an excuse to leave that job, and basically I'm like, what if I can start a business with in 5 weeks with $500? What would I do? Right? I'm like, what about a photo booth? Right? It's easy. Set up a camera, you set a computer, and then let it print, and you're good to go. So I converted the camper into a photo booth.
Because it wasn't being used most of the time.
So now I have Camera Snaps Photo Booth Company. We do everything from regular photo booth to video booths to not yet. I don't know if I want to. They either look cool or stupid. I mean, I don't know what to do exactly. So I don't know whether I should go into it, but I mean, I kind of have a brand to live up to as well. But if it's more profitable, I don't know. I'm pretty much passing that off to my son because he needs to pay for college, so he can have that business. So on the weekends he can go and do photo booths. So I started that, but that was right before pandemic, and of course pandemic happened.
Right,
crashed that out. But during pandemic, I was able to start. I gave myself 2 weeks to, like I said, 2 weeks to learn all about Zoom. Streaming, and fundraising integration, the things that I really knew how to do. And I had friends in the entertainment industry, so in 2 weeks I put together my own streamathon, 6-hour streamathon, right? For just raising funds for the Scleroderma Foundation, so we can figure out what to do so we can pay for Zoom accounts.
Of course,
exactly.
And like to get unlimited. It wasn't cheap. It's not cheap.
No, it's $150 $150 a year. That's a lot, and we had to get 2 accounts on that. So I did call up my friends, Jennifer Paz,
Jennifer Paz.
Yeah, so
shout out.
Yeah, Jen called up her Didi and the rest of the mama bears and put together something for me. A bunch of Jeremy Miller from Growing Pains showed up as well too. All my celebrity friends called in and we talked, and some people performed, and it was I'm like, okay, this works. People saw that and said, okay, we need to do virtual fundraising. So I got hired by Pasadena's Young and Healthy, which is a nonprofit that allows kids to get medical, be seen by doctors for free, right?
Nice.
And then that was the first virtual fundraiser in Pasadena. So all of the Pasadena nonprofits are looking at that, right, including the mayor of Pasadena. And so I get a call from Homeboy Industries has a school in Pasadena, and they say, can you do our virtual fundraiser? So I did that.
So wait, when you say, can you do our virtual fundraiser, your platform, their mission, something like that?
More like they already have their fundraising platforms. I'll do the production side.
Okay.
So the Zoom rooms, the lighting, the cameras.
Some
I already had
production,
the production side of it. Whereas like if they were to approach a regular production company, they'll be charging like $15,000-$20,000. I'm like, I come from the small nonprofit world. I know you can't afford that, so I'll do it for what for a lot lower, not to undercut other people, but more for the mission of that you need to raise funds.
Yes.
So Pasadena Humane calls up the mayor of Pasadena, who was running for mayor that same year, was like, can you do a virtual a banquet?
So
and then he got elected like the week afterwards. So I'm like, okay, that works.
So you were busy from home.
I was busy mostly from home. Yeah, I was doing fundraisers with people from Seattle, people from New York, New Jersey. It was great. I even had to upgrade my computer.
Right.
And at the time, I was, and I'm still producing a podcast for my friend who does mini bikes. So it's #1 mini bike podcast, Joe's Mini Bike Reunion. Check it out. And then he's like, what do we do? What do you do? We usually do podcasts in my garage. And I'm like, well, we'll go on Zoom. So instead of getting people from locally to show up, we're like, hey, let's do a whole tour around America kind of thing.
Virtual, yeah.
So he's like, yeah, let's get garage tours from mini bikers from like.
Right. What's a mini bike?
Mini bike? You don't know what a mini bike?
A mini motorcycle or a mini bike?
Like how to explain this?
See?
It's hard to. It is. It's a small, tiny bike usually with a rigid frame, with 8-inch wheels.
Is it motorized?
It was with a 2-stroke engine. Right? And sometimes they're making them go 100 miles per hour now.
Seriously?
Yeah. If you want to see some of them, you go to Joe's Mini Bike Reunion. We have a big show happening in October, and there'll be like 400, 500 mini bikes in Locker Center. And
there's a podcast.
There's
right?
a podcast.
So we'll post the link in the description also for that.
Because we do it every 2 weeks, and it's another one of my things that I do.
So that's a mini bike. Okay.
Yes, a mini.
So you produce that.
I produce that. I'm a what you call a closet car guy. I love cars and anything automotive.
What's your favorite car?
57 Bel Air. Oh, it's classic with the fins.
Oh, you want the old ones, huh?
The old ones.
Classic car.
If I wanted a more modern one, it'll be the car that I drove in college, which is the 86 Celica Supra Turbo.
That's nice.
That's a nice car. I blew up that engine twice.
That's nice.
I had to give it up after I blew it up the second time.
Speaking of classic cars, again, vintage, right?
Oh, God.
So me and my brother, we had a 77 Ford Escort RS 2000 with all the tarmacs, the flares and all that. Yeah. We bastardized that car. Only
what year was it when
I had it?
Yeah,
88.
Okay, all right. So it's right before the racer days. Yeah.
So I was checking it out before the pandemic. Just to buy one. I'd like to believe that I could afford one. Right? It was like $25,000.
Right? No, the Toyota, the 86 Toyota, 86 Toyota that I got for $1,500, and I let go for $1,000 to trade it for a Ford Escort ZX2. It's the worst car that Ford ever made. I'm sorry, Ford, but I looked it up. I'm like, for the same conditions I had it, $65,000.
Right?
I'm like, what the heck?
What happened? Yeah.
And like it costs more than an electric car. What?
I was like,
I thought Teslas were the top, and now it's like you can get a friggin' 86 Celica Supra is a lot more.
like we would. Let me. I think I have a picture of it.
It's the one car that I wish I still had, or I wish I would get back. With the flip up things and everything.
Look. That was see,
right.
See that?
That's nice. That's a nice one.
There you go with my brother's sexy.
Posing for it.
Other camera. There you go. Other camera, Mike. There you go with his sexy legs.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, our 70s, 80s cars that we all love we got rid of for our more modern cars.
I gave that away. For a Lancer GLXi.
I still want. My first car was a CRX. I still want a CRX again too.
CRX,
those are fun.
The Honda
CRX. Yeah, I used to fit like 4 girls in it. It's a 2-seater. I know. You figure that one out. Back in my days. I'm gonna get in trouble because they know who you were.
Okay, but you never. So do you have a classic car in your garage? No.
I have my vintage trailer. That's what I have. We like once in a while we'll get the knock on the door and it's like, hey, is that trailer for sale? Like seriously, like.
Are you gonna let it go?
Probably not.
It's still camper snaps.
It's still camper snaps. So now that goes into current project.
Okay.
Camper snap sessions.
Huh. So there's a studio inside the camper.
Yes. So we do. We're actually filming one on on Thursday for Megan Francisco, and it's like the acoustics is actually really good. Then it's almost soundproof that nobody can hear it outside.
Is there a drum kit inside?
We haven't fit one yet. The most percussion thing we fit in there was a cajon, but we've had 5 people in there. So we've had
with instruments.
3 singers, a keyboardist, and a viola.
Okay.
So we know that we can fit.
You do play an instrument, right?
Yeah, I play drums and saxophone.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to tour back when I was a teenager and had opportunities to do stuff.
With what band?
With a Christian band, Christian church band. We didn't go by any names, but we were invited to so many concerts and churches. And I also I opened one time for Gary Vee. It was the weirdest.
In the Philippines or in the States?
States. We're a church. I was playing in the band. I was playing saxophone, and then I hung out with the family and his wife, and I actually did sound for Gary a few times too. And now I'm talking to Kiana to get her in the
his daughter. Yeah.
And we had the camper over at FPAC last year.
Okay.
And we were interviewing all the artists, and we had Easy Mill,
who
we just got signed,
who is now breaking the Billboard charts as we speak.
That was one of the more awkward interviews, but
why?
Oh no! When you ask him, hey, what's your favorite hat to wear? Because you do so many things. He's like, well, I like my beanie. I'm like,
you know that guy's.
We'll just keep going.
Are you aware that guy's a multi-instrumentalist?
Yeah.
He shreds.
Yeah. That's why he was asked that question. You play instruments and you produce and you rap. What's your favorite thing? But yeah, I think that the question just went over his head and said beanie. But that was fun though. It was great because we were able to talk to the artists like Ruby Ibarra and you know.
Speaking of FPAC, that's a week from the taping of this episode.
Oh man, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I haven't had confirmation for our tech rider, but
they're meeting on it tonight. I was supposed to be on that meeting, but
we're here.
We're doing this for FPAC.
So, what is FPAC?
FPAC is the Festival of Filipino Arts and Culture. Mm-hmm. So it's been happening for a long time.
Oh, so now we have to say Filipino. Otherwise, it would have...
Actually, I think it's Philippine Arts and Culture. There's a P. Or else it would have been fat. I just caught that. Oh my god. Sorry, G. Sorry, Marcy. Sorry, Gio.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
Okay, go. So
last year it was
the last time I was there was in 2006. We, I think we co-headlined 2006.
Nice.
So what are we expecting?
Oh, geez. So we're expecting instead of one day,
2 days.
2 nights.
2 nights. Okay.
2 nights. So the Friday night is going to be a concert with Intervoice, Melodies.
Jocelyn Enriquez. Oh my God.
They said, "Do you miss me?" Right?
Yeah. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna do that. Hey, Jocelyn. What?
Do you miss me? I met her when I was 14. We were at Magic Mountain, and we were in the tram, and then she walks up with her, I think, boyfriend or something, and then do you miss me? I'm like, my friends were whispering, I'm like, what the heck's that? Oh,
nice song.
Hello. I'm like 14. Hello.
I'm probably gonna say, you know what, Miss Enriquez, the radio played our favorite song. And it just keeps me going on.
Oh God.
Baby, do you miss me?
All right, we're gonna jump on the keys and drums and do our own little rendition.
I was a fan. I am. I still am. Maybe.
I mean, like for her to be Filipino and be on Power 106 Kiss FM on the major stations.
When no one else was there.
Huge.
Yeah.
That was huge for us.
And you know what, looking back in hindsight, I think we should really elevate the Jocelyn Enriquez's, the Basco brothers, people like the Lou Diamond Phillips, people who broke grounds for people like us to
Yeah.
to be recognized.
Yeah, also kept people like us from getting jobs because I remember going to auditions. Every time I show up in the audition and I see Dante walk out, like, that's not me. It's not going to be me.
Hey,
I used to act a lot. So it was like,
okay.
I can't say I used to act. I used to audition a lot.
So you wanted to become an actor too?
Yeah, no.
Who's that guy with dude, who's the new Spider-Man?
Tom
Holland.
Yes.
And his sidekick is Filipino.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you know, I've gone to what do you call that? What's the Comic-Con LA?
He was there?
No, I was playing Ned. Jacob, that's Jacob. I was like, whoa.
Jacob Batalon,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was playing Jacob Batalon. That was my Comic-Con. That was my cosplay.
Dude,
sorry, Jacob. Jacob, if I ever meet you, we need to take pictures, man.
Let's do a spoiler. Do you think he's gonna be a villain in the next Spider-Man movie?
That's the rumors, right?
Right? That's why he's losing weight, right?
Exactly. That he's gonna, yeah.
Oh, damn.
He might be, but that's, you know.
I don't like that arc.
It's the Marvel universe. They can do whatever they want, and then they'll be best friends again afterwards, like nothing happened. It's Marvel. I like Marvel. By the way, if you ever need like a weird, well, see, you got Jacob Batalon already. See what I mean? Typecasting,
multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Multiverse.
I'll be the Jacob. I'll be the Ned. I'll be the Ned with the other Lola. I'll have a Lolo.
But it's nice, though. It's nice that they're doing that.
And it's not just Filipinos in movies, right? It's Filipinos playing Filipinos. That's the huge difference that I'm seeing now, where like we can finally represent ourselves, you know, and seeing that as somebody who used to strive for being in the entertainment industry, and I think, you know, that's a step. Now if you're Filipino, you're the it thing, right? You're the next Rodrigo, you're the next, you know.
So here's you were mentioning representation, and since we're still within the domain of FPAC, I've been here since 2001. I've heard of FPAC, I've heard of CPA.
Mm-hmm.
I know what CPA did for the Black Eyed Peas.
Mm-hmm.
I participated in both, but apparently it's still not as wide as we want it to be. Why? In your opinion? Crab mentality still exists.
Yeah,
huh?
it still exists. I get, you know, I can't talk about it, but I get caught in the middle of it where I'm like having to deal with two parties that, like, you know, they want the best for each other, but they still, you know, don't want to work with each other. So a lot of times it's really just we just need to work with each other more and to elevate our presence. And like, you know, you hear about like Here Lies Love. Right? There's people that are like totally supporting it because finally there's Filipinos on stage.
On Broadway.
That are playing Filipinos,
yes.
not Vietnamese,
yes.
right? Or Thailand or Siamese. So there's that aspect, but there's also the people like, why are we representing the people that did this, did that? I'm going, just be glad they're there. It was the same thing with like the whole Miss Saigon. There was a little controversy. It was like, why are Asians being portrayed as like hookers and blah blah blah, and I'm going, because because if you read the original source material, but Madame Butterfly, it's all about that, and it's a classical piece.
Yes.
Right? But you also have to relate to what the reality was of what that story is telling as well, too. So it's that representation. And then for people to put it down, because that was the opportunities for Asians to be on stage.
Imagine.
The only things that I was auditioning for musically when I got out of high school, and even during high school, was Miss Saigon, King and I, Miss Saigon, King and I, Miss Saigon. Those are the only two things that you can audition for if you wanted to be musical theater, right? And to be an Asian in musical theater.
Did you ever get in?
Yeah, I can't talk about it. Cause, you know,
yeah.
But no, I did King and I. But yeah, it's like, so you're gonna, and back in the days, there wasn't a lot of what you call ethnic diversity within the theater itself, right? You're competing with a white guy that's going to have to play a white guy.
Right.
Right. So for them, an Asian person playing like Seymour on Little Shop of Horrors, it's, they're not going to do that. It's, people will be shocked. Nobody will watch it. But now it's like, let's even gender bend things. Right. Miss Saigon in the West, I said not the West End, but Sheffield Theatre in London. We had Joanna Peel playing the engineer. The biggest male role there is female, and I'm like, and it works. Let's keep doing that. Let's keep diversifying, only if it makes sense to the story. Because once I still agree that if you're gonna talk about like 1930s Ireland, you're not gonna have a bunch of Filipinos walking around just because you need diversity.
Which is why when Will Smith came up with where did he play a cowboy?
Oh, Wild Wild West?
Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. It's like, he got a lot of pushback. So what the character is supposed to be like.
But see, those are the type of people who broke grounds.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Which is hilarious. I was sitting in my daughter's class
a while ago,
and it turns out Halle Berry's like sitting next to me.
Halle Berry.
And then we talked to the teacher at the same time. I'm like going,
you didn't say, hey, good job, monsters?
No. What's funny, it's like LACHSA, the LA County High School for the Arts, it's really a great, when you're a parent, you're a parent. Right. You show up as a parent. Last year, Madonna's kids were there. And I'm like 5 feet away from this is weird. But she's just a parent. She'll talk to you like she's a parent, and just making sure the kids are taken care of.
Nice stuff.
Yeah, it's really refreshing when you see celebrities not being celebrities, right? And they're just doing their job as parents. And for me, I don't get like jaded with celebrity, right? I went to the high school for the arts. I was, when I was with people that are big time now, and then the kids of people that are big time as well too. So it's like, okay, they're just kids, and they're just people. I used to work for Universal Studios, and doing VIP tours for celebrities. I'm like babysitting Demi Moore's kids. They're just people. That's all they are. So I don't get jaded. The only person that I will get starstruck though, Weird Al.
Explain why. Aside from being Weird Al,
he's Weird Al. He's the guy. He's the guy that really made me love music. Right? Because it's like, he's gonna do a funny take on it, and as a kid, I'm like, I want to be entertained by Beat It to Eat It. I started writing my own little parodies and whatnot. It really got me being creative. Sort of like, people will tear down comic books, but comic books are the gateway to reading, right? You get them started on Sunday comics, and you build them up to graphic novels to actually reading actual novels and writing novels. Because the more you read, the more you write, the more you listen to music.
Not only that, your imagination really just
exactly.
Out.
So I mean, I'm by far not the conservative type that thinks that learning should be done in so many different ways that we shouldn't stop kids from reading comic books, certain video games where they get really influenced with the graphicness of it, right? Not the bad, not the.
Of course.
Yeah, my kids never did that, but they were more into Minecraft and the creative stuff. So now my son's,
because they're creating their own world. Exactly.
So my son's going into computer animation. He's been doing that since he was in 6th grade. So he's his resume, and not resume, his portfolio is ridiculous. But I still said go to school, business minor, because you have to. It's like that's a big thing for me. Is that if you're going to go into an industry, know the industry. Like I wish I could have taken business while I was in college. I had to learn it on my own, right? I had to learn it after college when I realized I couldn't get insurance under my parents anymore. Back in the day, if you graduated, you're off the parents' insurance.
Yeah.
So what's my option? Either go work for a company, start my own business, get small business insurance.
So this was why you actually went into the corporate world also?
No.
So this is your company?
D1 production since 2002. Registered.
Why is it called
D1? Oh, that's a funny one.
D1?
D1.
It's D1.
Oh, because you're D1.
Ah.
I used to hang out in underground hip hop clubs and poetry lounges, and then open mics and freestyle ciphers. But I also made beats. So
Up to now, you still make beats.
I can. I don't do it constantly enough to say that up to now.
You teach music production.
I taught music production. Yeah.
You taught.
Yeah.
You don't do it anymore.
I don't do it anymore. I stopped in 2014 December because my wife was getting sick and she was on her second round of chemo. So it was really, I need to work on that.
So who is Jing Jing now?
Huh? Who is Jing Jing now?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's Jing Jing? I know Emmanuel now. Who is Jing Jing now? I am a serial entrepreneur and a creative consultant. Basically, if you need help getting things done, I'll help you get things done.
That's a line I want to talk about. If you need help getting things done, I'll help you get it done. But let's go to the first part of that. Why do people not get things done?
They can't complete their vision. They see something, but they don't have the path to do it. And my thing, I have this thing called visualize, analyze, strategize, and execute. Right? VASE.
Say it again. Visualize,
analyze,
strategize,
and
execute. Okay, VASE.
You can apply VASE to several things: problem solving, goal attaining, relaxation, family management. All that stuff can be applied with VASE. Right? So problem solving, visualize. Right?
So what are you visualizing? The solution or the problem?
The problem.
Ah.
You have to see the problem first. If
Because
you don't
that's
see
50%, right?
If you don't see the problem, so it's like when I go back to the diagnostic stuff with my wife, we didn't have a vision yet. We haven't visualized the problem, right? So once you visualize the problem, the water is leaking, right? Then you have to analyze it. Why is the water leaking? Where's it coming from? Then you have to strategize. How do I fix it? Do I use tape? Do I use bubble gum? What do I use to fix it? And then lastly, execute. Do it. People miss these steps.
So it's the what, the why, the how, and then the action.
The action to do it. So you can do it with creating a business, right? What do you want to what do you want to do with your podcast? I want it to be the biggest podcast. What's the problem? It's not the biggest podcast. Right? Then you analyze why. Right? It's like, we have low views within this market, blah, blah, blah. We need to work with the YouTube algorithms and modeling and all that stuff. Then you strategize, how do we change this? Change the logo, change the thumbnails, titles, all that stuff. Then you execute. You do it. People miss those steps. People try to solve a problem that's not really there. You'll see a lot of people do that. People try to solve a problem without a strategy or without analyzing what the actual problem is. So they just go into, it's leaking. I'll just put a cap on it. You never figured out why.
Right.
Right. And people skip the whole execution part. You know what's wrong. You know how to fix it. You don't do anything about it. And so you still have the problem. So yeah, like I said, it applies to so many things, from problem solving to goal attaining. You want a certain goal. How do you do that with VASE? I should write a book.
You should. That was the next thing I was going to say.
Jingonomics.
Dude. You should.
I should, no.
And call it Jingonomics.
Jingonomics.
You just coined that today, right now?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that.
Why not?
Jing is the if you're my friend, if you're now my family friend because you call me Jing. Thank you, Paco. I know when Jen Paz came over for a party and my mom goes up, so how do you know Jing? And she turns to me, Jing Jing. I'm like, oh God, Jen, welcome to the family, Jen. Cause
how many siblings do you have?
I've got 3 siblings. I got an older brother, a younger sister and a younger brother. I'm the middle kid because I'm 3.5 years from my older brother and 3.5 years from my younger brother. My older brother suffered a major stroke when he was 45, 2019. And so that sort of changed our whole family dynamics around.
Dude, the challenges that you face, huh?
Yeah.
First challenge is being the middle child.
Man, what's funny is that my brothers and I, when we were growing up, my younger brother was the chubbier one. My older brother was the tall one with the glasses, and I was Alvin. I was the big headed show off with a baseball cap, going, "Look at me!" It's still kind of like that, but yeah, that were, and then my sister's just a year younger than me, so we're actually pretty cool. We're the only ones that actually have a family.
You and your sister.
Yeah, my sister. Yeah, she married a pastor, and she has 3 girls.
Why didn't you go the church route?
Why? Who said I didn't?
No, I mean you should be producing for the church, like streaming.
Who said I'm not?
Let's talk about that. I wanna.
Yeah. So
I wanna hear.
Sorry, especially when my wife's sick, she doesn't go to church a lot, right? And only on special occasion stuff. So at my church, which is Summit Christian Church, Tahunga, I initiated the whole "Can we stream the service so my wife can watch it?" I even donated some cameras and sort of got started out simple and stuff like that. And then eventually, pandemic happened. We have to stream the services.
So before the pandemic,
you
were already.
I was already putting together a streaming
Nice.
setup. Yeah, because I was already doing it for when we started the mini bike podcast. We were doing it live, and so I was already learning about streaming and getting.
Would you stream? Did you ever come by that platform? Ustream.
Ustream now,
Dude, that was the first, one of the first streaming softwares that was around in 2010, 2011. Anyway.
No, we did. How long have I've been doing this for a while, but I started 2016 for the streaming stuff. But all that stuff, the RTMP codes, all that stuff, we were using it in major broadcasting. So that's already back in my mind. So I already knew how to do all that stuff. But yeah, we started just streaming the church, and especially during pandemic, it became necessary to do it. Also increase the audience space where you're no longer your thing, so you're now getting tithes and offerings from all over the country,
right?
And
did you have to sell the idea to your pastor?
Yeah, I proof of concept, make it work, and right now we're just tweaking sound systems and stuff.
Proof of concept, that's a very important term.
Yeah.
One of the first principles that you need to understand. There's an idea, but then again, you need proof of concept to support your idea.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to our listeners and our audience?
Proof of concept, proving that something works before you can actually make it work, and it's the best way to sell an idea, right? For example, we had I was hired to put together a recording studio for the Whittier Boys and Girls Club, right? So I'm like, why just a recording studio? You can do so much. You can do video, you can do podcasting, all these live streaming. So I had to sell them on that idea. I can't buy all that equipment and put it together. So what I did was I went, okay, I can 3D render this. So I put together, I have this, software, SketchUp, whatever, put together a 3D model of the studio, did a whole walkthrough. So people will see, there's equipment there. We go to the next room. This is the recording area. There's a green screen, blah, blah, blah. And the idea sold.
Just so that they could touch the shiny object.
Yeah. And I did that same thing for the same organization for their, their steam room where, it's all the technology, 3D printers and all that stuff. So I put that together and that sold. I project managed a friend of mine who opened a retail shop for tea in La Crescenta. And in order for me to sell her my services, let me 3D render the shop so you can see what it looks like before you actually buy the first piece of furniture, right? So I 3D rendered the entire shop, did a whole walkthrough. And she's like, okay, how do we do this? We see it now. How do we do this? And so I do that now for
your creative consulting.
Yeah. Let me show you what you can have, what you can do with your space, right? I would go and measure and be like, okay, and virtual space put together in make a video of how it looks like. I've done it for churches where I'm installing lighting and audio. This is where you should put the speakers, the screens, the projectors, so they know exactly how it's going to.
And you know what you're doing can actually de-escalate arguments among people involved in the project, because all of them are looking at the same thing.
Yeah. And you know, I usually, if you go to emmanuelmunda.com for my creative consulting services, you see I've done several different projects, and it's not just one thing. You know, when growing up, I've always thought of whatever talents and skills that you have as your artillery, right? So, or artillery, utility, whatever you want to call it, but you put that in your belt.
Yeah.
So if anybody calls you to do it, you can do it. And you know, I get to do that. I get to use every single gift I have. Like when I'm doing camera snap sessions, that was like, I've always wanted to do it. My friend in Oklahoma, we used to run an underground hip hop club in back of a church back in the day, said like, hey, we should invite our old performers and come in to do the camera. Right. I'm like, I've been waiting for someone to actually agree with me. Right. And so we started coordinating and got it happening. Right. Now I think we're on our 12th artist.
Damn.
Hundreds of videos online. We even do it in 360, so you can be right there I'm here with Ella J. Bosco. You know.
So wait, 360, like a 360 camera, like an Insta 360,
yeah. Insta 360
that they can move around.
You pull it up. You can actually move around in YouTube. So our first artist that we premiered was Ella J. Bosco a year ago in FPAC. And so it's like you're sitting next to her and she's playing. Put on your VR goggles and you're like, oh, you know, look at her guitar and whatever. So to actually use that experience, I was actually going to call it Trailer 360, but I already had the name Camper Snaps.
Yeah,
I already had the domain, so I'm like just like sessions.campersnaps.com. It's there. It works out. So we're slowly building that to an actual like YouTube, but it doesn't match like your regular YouTube algorithm that are always millions of.
But who cares?
Who cares? I'm doing what I love. Yeah. That's the thing. So, you know, but it's weird now. I'm having artists call me and ask how much do you charge for that? I'm like, I don't know, because right now it's a creative. It's an actual written agreement between me and the artist that we get to use your songs for our videos, and then you get a copy of your song. That if you want to release it, it's all
Go
yours.
ahead.
It's an actual recording session.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Yeah. So it's definitely my passion project, and I'm still gonna keep doing it until I can't do it anymore. It was harder to do it during summer because it was like 100 degrees, but it's, you know,
there's no AC in the vintage camper.
Well, I do the AC, and then while they're playing, they turn it off, and then they get hot again, and they turn it back on during the breaks and stuff. So we've had to do that. Last year it was brutal because we had a lot scheduled during summer because we wanted to premiere on thing. But what we do is we sort of like do 2 or 3 artists because we do an artist a month, right? So we can be like do all these artists in 1 month and then like just schedule all the premieres and everything.
Imagine this place when insulation wasn't there and AC wasn't there. Dude, it was brutal during the summer. Right, Mike?
You adapted. Yeah.
Like
right?
we were donated.
Nice.
Because the guests were like, dude, you can't operate like this.
It's like, oh God. All right, what's the next subject? Are we still going?
So what's next? Is there anything next? Is there anything next for you, or is emmanuelmunda.com creative consultant?
What's next? I mean, right now I'm helping out my daughter. My daughter and I had a conversation while we were driving one time, and she's like, I know how to win high school. Like, how do you win high school? I mean, there's nothing to compete, right? You're a visual artist. She's like, during summer, I'm going to start a business. Next summer, I'm going to do a nonprofit. Okay, what are you going to do? So she had this concept called damaged bears.
Damaged bears.
Damaged bears. Basically, they're cartoon bears. Here, I'll give you stickers and stuff.
Yes, please.
But they represent mental illnesses and invisible illnesses.
I want that.
Yeah.
Because my brother actually committed suicide. So mental health awareness.
Yeah. So
that's big.
there's the anxiety bear.
Yeah.
The insomnia bear, right? And then there's the depression bear. And then there's the damaged bear for any other invisible illnesses that you don't know about yet.
Nice.
So I'll give you pins and stickers if you want to spread the word.
Yes.
But yeah, damagedbears.com just create a clothing line. And I'm like, okay, we need to make this a legit business. So we did everything, filed the LLC, all the business paperwork, right? It's under her name, Shopify, and she designs every single product there. I just help her out. I'm the product manager. I just need to make sure that everything's streamlined.
Yes.
There was a learning curve with finding the right suppliers that doesn't take long and doesn't charge a lot of
You guys go
shipping.
with Printful? No.
No, we went with Printify.
Printify. Okay.
Printify is actually really good. I'm sure we're gonna expand to other platforms as well too. But we started. So she launched it August 4th, so recently, and we did a whole Instagram live with Jen Paz, her Tita Jen, and it worked out. We made a few $100 in sales already.
You know what? As a dad, no, how important is it to not troll on your kids' ideas?
Extremely important, because
you know how our parents could be trolls to us.
Oh yeah. No, everybody has that, especially Filipinos has that generational. What do you call that? Trauma. I mean, how else do you call it? But I mean, my parents were extremely encouraging. I mean, they allowed me to go to high school for the arts. They encouraged me by saying that you need to get your own driver's license because we're not dropping you off anymore. But they were there for every performance. That good job, Jing. At the end of the day, for my dad, that was worth everything. But my dad, my parents were also very inspirational in fighting for what you want to do, right? My mom, we lived in Nigeria for 3 years.
Why? Mission?
No. My dad got a job as a physics professor there. He was a physics professor in the Philippines for UE, and he was also a meteorologist for Manila.
Dude, you're scaring the heck out of me.
Why?
UE?
UE.
Okay.
What? Yes.
So my brother, middle child, Emmanuel, right?
Are you sure we're not related?
I don't know, but my mom nicknamed Jing Jing just like you, right? My mom, when she died of cancer, she was confined in UE.
Oh, wow.
Okay, keep talking.
All right, so my dad.
And then we're doing FPAC. I mean, come on.
Hey, we'll get to FPAC. Don't worry. There's a lot of stuff they're doing. Don't worry.
Intertwined. Wow.
Intertwined. We'll do this. Don't worry.
Okay, so your dad.
So my dad was
Nigeria,
Nigeria physics professor. We first my dad moved there, and then my mom moved there with 4 children. Youngest was only 10 months. Right, and she was in the Philippines for 6 months.
How old were you?
There. I was 4 years old.
Okay.
So my first memories were not the Philippines.
Damn, yeah, you're right.
Was Nigeria. Seriously, when Lion King came out, even though it was a cartoon, I'm like, that's home. I know that place. I know that tree. The shapes of the trees, the animals. Because we lived in Madagali and Yola, and there was Filipinos there. They hired, I think, 13 professors from the Philippines to teach at their college.
Dude, I'm watching YouTube videos, vlogs of Filipinos in Nigeria. Yeah.
That was us. If we stayed, well, I'll let you know why we left. And so when we go to our Filipino neighbors, it'd be a couple hours drive, and so you look out. Yeah. And he taught there. We were there for 3 years, and in '85 there was a civil war.
Oh.
Yeah. So him working for the government, pretty much, they said, "Hey, we're gonna go to your village because there's some bad people there. And we're just gonna, you better move out for a little bit." So we left. I forgot how many days it was, and went to one of our friends' houses, and from there they're like, let's try to get to the U.S. and my dad, in the middle of warfare, like, disappears with his friend. And we thought it was going to be like he'll be gone for a day, and because he had to drive to Lagos and get our passports and come back. Turns out he goes there on a Friday on a holiday and everything was closed. So they had to wait till the Monday. So they were out for 4 days. And
while the Civil War was going
things
on.
were happening.
Yeah.
And there's no communication, right? They get back and pretty much my dad's like, let's go back to our place and pack up. And it's like, we're going to go, you guys want to see Disneyland?
That's what he said.
That's what he said. And so with one suitcase and the clothes on our back, we flew all to New York for a few days and then flew to Glendale where my uncle was living and lived in Glendale for 3 years and moved around a little bit. But
so you've been in the Glendale area all your life,
pretty much. I mean, it's hometown. It's in the middle of everywhere. It's we can't complain.
No,
right? But it's like, but he when we moved there, and I found the letter saying that we're supposed to go back in 6 months to Nigeria. Now the government's changed. The only passports we have are Philippines, so the choice is to go to the Philippines or TNT it. Yeah.
So your dad TNT'd it?
Oh no, my dad applied for a job,
dude,
for LAUSD.
Look at that. Hats off, respect.
Yeah. And first he started a balikbayan box business with his brother to help support a little bit, right? Like balikbayan boxes, you had to put rope on it and tape. They created a jig where you put the balikbayan box and you put 3 ropes on it, so you can buy the box with a rope.
What?
Yeah, it did well. I think it'll still make a killing now, but this is back in 85, 86. But he applied for a job for LAUSD for a teacher. And of course, LAUSD, you're overqualified. You're a physics professor. So they hired him first as a substitute teacher.
Right away.
Yeah, petition. We got petitioned within 5 years, and my mom and took us to the Philippines to do all the paperwork and come back, our little vacation, and yeah, it was God's plan. There's no way anything of that, none of that would happen if God wasn't involved. Because like immigration situation with Filipinos, you
during that time,
especially during that time,
very, very hard.
Yeah, unless you have somebody petition you for the second largest district to petition. So my dad's a retired math teacher now, and my mom used to be an exec over at May Company.
Oh yeah,
or Robinson's May, now Macy's. But she retired early and started her own business.
What does your mom do?
She's been retired since she's like 40. She wanted to retire because my sister was in high school and she needed to keep an eye on my sister. Respect. But she started the business doing secondhand children's clothing. You know how like your child will only wear that for like 2 months and it's done for. So it's literally brand new.
You know what? So
she was a hustler. My dad was a hustler. They started businesses.
A while ago you said there's opportunity everywhere.
Yeah.
But you have to seek opportunity. And you talking about your parents, it seems that early on in your life, you've been exposed to parents who knew how to seek opportunity.
Yeah, and to be smart about it. My mom has a degree in business. My dad, of course, has a master's in, I think, physics. So it's like, even education is a big deal for us. I come from a family of teachers and preachers. My uncle is a pastor. My grandfather, I think, was a bishop over. So it's like, all that stuff sort of like makes me who I am, and I taught for 15 years. I was in education for 15 years, so I understand. Sort of like, life is a hustle, but you also need to educate yourself, educate your people. It was an example that was given to me by one of the executive directors of the Academy Awards. He spoke at one of my classes at Cal State LA when I was in film school, and says that you put together you yourself you're a tree. Right? You have your roots, your family, you have your trunk, your education, and then you branch off to whatever that fruit is your career, your job, your goal, right? So if you're not happy with this job and goal, you have to go to the other side of the tree and find that other fruit. But you'll always have your education. Go over there. You'll always have your trunk. You'll always have your roots.
So what's the person? What does the roots signify again?
Roots is your family.
Your family,
right? Your values, where you come from.
Your trunk, your backbone is your
trunk
education.
Is your education, right? Something that can never be taken away, and everything else are just branches. You just have to go to that last twig with that last fruit and get that fruit. So if you want, say like he was example, you say you want to be a lighting director or gaffer over here, but then now you want to be executive director. Well, you still have your education, and you take some more branches of education and go over here to be the executive producer. So there's so many life lessons that I took more from college than just regular. Like the technical side. It's like you're not. I wasn't just there to. I mean, I appreciate four-year universities just because it allows you to have these kinds of conversations. If I went to a trade tech, then we'll talk about trade, and that's all I can talk about because I love it. But yeah, it's in my family we value the education, we value family, we value faith. So
going back, when your daughter said she knew how to win high school and you had that big question mark in your head and she came up with Damaged Bears and she came up with the idea behind it, how did you feel as a dad?
I was proud as heck. I'm like, you thought of that yourself, right? And mind you, it's like she for her and my son growing up with a mom that was hospitalized, several times and having to be caregivers themselves. So when my wife was on full-time oxygen, they're the ones turning on the machine. Right now, if my wife is coughing, they're the ones getting the water from mommy to make sure she always
And to them, that's part of their life.
That's part of their life. It's hard for me to explain where it's like, did we traumatize them, right? Or did they just grow up quicker? Or
did they adapt?
Are they good because of our situation? Or are we blessed because they're good?
Dude.
You know what I'm saying? Levels. Yeah. I got you levels now. So it's there's always that thought, but at the end of the day, it's a blessing. We were going for 6 kids. We're like, okay, we started young. We're 25. We were 26 when we got married, right? And we're going, let's see how many kids we can have. We want 6 kids. It was like, okay, we want a boy, 2 pairs of twins, and a girl. Seriously, that was the plan. But God had other plans. So
God had other plans.
Because once my wife started chemo, she went into early menopause. So we lost that. We sort of lost that chance, right? To have more kids, but to have the kids that we have that are extremely talented. My son's animations are ridiculous. He went to a magnet school and focused on cinematography and animation. And I didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't even really showing off his work. During his 18th birthday, we're like, let's do an Aaron Film Festival, right? We'll show off all this stuff. And there was stuff there that like I didn't know he did. And I'm like, dude, get your friggin' portfolio together and you can get a job. School's still the most important thing. But I'm like, if you get a career before you finish college, do your career. Yes, you can take online schooling now. There's that limit. That limit is gone. Back in the days, if you have to go to school, you have to be there. Now you don't have to be, right? You can just pop up a video and then do the test, and you still get the credit.
Do your kids inspire you to keep learning as well?
Yeah. It's like I'm on YouTube looking at camera reviews, looking at new tech, and that's just me learning and developing who I am, right? If I don't know something, I'm glad there's YouTube. You just learn that way. But I'm so willing to pull up a manual and figure it out. Because VASE, you gotta figure out yourself, right? If I don't know
Visualize,
the shortcut, analyze, strategize,
execute.
Miss any of those steps, it's harder to do, right? But you have a problem, you have a goal, issues in your marriage. I think the whole book on that. You should see my concept book for bowls of beans. That's another bowls of beans. Your brain.
Oh yeah.
Bowl of beans.
Yeah.
Some people have big bowls. Some people have small bowls. So you put beans in there until your limit. So if you have a small bowl and it's already filled, you put more beans. Some beans will spill out. So the best thing to do is to grow your bowl. Level up. Like I said,
But you know what? It's true.
I should have ChatGPT write my book. That's what.
But you know what? It's true though, because we're not even using 100% of our brain potential.
No.
So you can actually grow that bowl.
You can grow that bowl, yeah. But it's been a trip to be where I'm at, where I'm like, there's no financial stability, right? I'm not working full time or anything. All my jobs are like, okay, what's next? But it's fun. And if you rely on your faith to be like, God, the birds are eating. Why can't I eat? There's no we're in America where it's like I can take my phone and like, okay, $300. That's the way it works. And I've always been like that. And my wife would I remember dating my wife and only making $10,000 a year. Imagine that.
And dreaming about 6 kids, huh?
Dreaming about 6 kids, and she stuck with me. Honey, I love you. Thank you. 19 years, 20 something years together. But the fact, and she's like, I've always seen potential. I'm like, all right, then don't doubt that potential because I'm not done. I'm like, there's still so much. I mean, I'm 45 now. I thought I'd be retiring by 45, but there's so much momentum, and there's so many things that I'm like, I'm going to do that. Now, mind you, my initial goals, my childhood goals per se, I was like, I want to get everything. I have a checklist of things I wanted to do, and I got that all done by the time I was 22. I wanted to be a stuntman. I wanted to bungee jump. I wanted to, be in a movie, star in a play, starting to do all these, be in a musical, all that stuff, checklist. And so everything else after 22 was bonus.
Everything after 22 was boldness. Everything after checking all the boxes on the list was boldness. Bonus.
So marrying, having kids.
True, no?
Yeah, even though it's like, okay, that's my life plan or whatever, that's bonus. Having my wife with me, and now mind you, ever since her diagnosis, every day's a miracle. To actually look at that in that sense, where like, I'm just glad you're here.
Gratefulness.
Yeah, gratefulness. And we talk about this, 3 a.m. when she likes to have her conversations, and I need to wake up at 7. Just about, we stop and go, how are you feeling? What did you do today? Right now, I'm still blown away by what she's been able to do in her situation, where she has now published 8, 9 books, the coloring books, activity books, devotional books. Go to 313publishing.com. You can see all the books there, and get it on Amazon. So she's just been at it, and I get it, that in her perspective, her life is there are days in which she's just like, I don't know if I can make it today. Imagine that thought, or she gets really sick and she's like lost, she doesn't know what to do, and you have to be that person to be like, everything's gonna be okay. So I became being the caregiver.
Imagine saying that everything's gonna be okay and not knowing how everything is gonna be okay.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, that's where God comes in the picture.
Oh,
because you're just the messenger saying everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. And like, okay, like the recent issue earlier was like, she ran out of medication. Certain medication that we have to get overseas because it's not approved in the U.S., but it works. It doesn't have the side effects of the stuff in the U.S. It's like, what do I do? And like, she didn't want me to worry. So she's like, oh, I only have 3 pills left. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, okay, let's figure out what the substitute is. Ask the doctor. I'll pick it up first thing in the morning, and I have to do that. You know, I have to be the advocate. I have to be the caregiver. I have to be the one that runs the ball or takes care of the kids when she's not functional. You know, and to have that kind of a burden, but not really a burden, because that's what you love to do. You want to take care of your wife, your best friend, and then to see her awake and around, and just be like doing the laundry. For me, I was like, honey, I don't know if you know how much I appreciate you doing the laundry, but any sense of normalcy, it's like, pff. I remember right before the pandemic, the most beautiful thing I saw was my wife zip lining in the Philippines.
Boracay?
No, not Boracay. We did go to Boracay. What's the one in the mountains?
Baguio?
Baguio. Yeah, zip lining in Baguio. I'm going,
All the way to Manila? No, just kidding.
I'm like, this would have never happened just even a year before.
Right?
Right?
God is good.
Yeah. And like 2017, she was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Half of the 2 week stay was trying to figure out how sick she was. 48 blood transfusions because they didn't know what was wrong with her. And when she got the diagnosis, then antivirals, and then I had to do the IV when we got home for 6 weeks, and I was still working 9 to 9, right? And she has to have her IV every 12 hours. So I was having to leave work early so I can give her IV. Give her IV before I went to work, give her IV when I got back. You know, and
put on your game face.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's me. That's Jing Jing no.
Pero Jing, when you're all alone and you need to decompress or have a conversation, a while ago I said a conversation with yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Now when you're having a conversation with God, what's the tone of the conversation?
What's the tone? It's a lot of me just asking for what the next step is. And
there's submission.
Submission. A lot of submission. It's like, okay, what is it? What's your plan? What is it? And then, you know, God has a way of just showing it and making things happen.
Have you wrestled?
Have I wrestled with God?
Yeah.
When diagnosis, I remember that fight. The why. You know, God, stop it, Paco! You're making me cry, man. Yeah, you know when I share this, it's like I get deep. Hashtag deep feelings.
Ako naman naiiyak ako eh.
That was the biggest thing. And then the second time was when she was hospitalized as well too, and it was like, you know, I would stay there until like 3 a.m, and then I would go home and freshen up and take like 2 hours of sleep. And then come back, and that happened for 2 weeks straight. And you know, as soon as I get home, I'm crying in the shower. You know, because if it was me, I wouldn't whine. I would be like, oh, I'm sick, right? And you know, guys were like the biggest babies when we're sick, right? But it was, you know, it's like, oh, I'll take it. And that's, you know, I'd rather have it on me than her, than to watch her.
Hard, you know, because so imagine, no. Your wife has to go through she has to go through life fighting her battle inside. And at the same time support you so you can be the man you were meant to be.
Right. Right.
And all we have to do is love them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's love, right? You know, it's not about the spoils. It's not about the, you know, the vacations or, you know, I appreciate just waking up next to her. Simple, right? Some husbands will probably like, I'll go work out at the gym as soon as I wake up. You know, for me, I look at her, make sure she's okay, and like, honey, do you want coffee? And make her coffee. And that alone is already like, you know, it's something. And there's, you know, people, whenever she gets out, right? She looks great. It's almost like she's not sick. They don't know the production that happens to make that happen. And then when she gets home, it's like, I'm done for the week. I'm not going back out. and it's like, and like, sometimes I don't understand that because her energy is different, right? But when I realize, okay, there's a spoon theory, right? With people with chronic illness, so you only wake up with a set of spoons, and each time you do something, you take away a spoon, right? You wash the dishes, spoon. You brush your teeth, spoon. Sometimes she only has like 3 or 4 spoons. Sometimes she has 1. For her to go out, that's letting go of all her spoons, right? So even like if we want to go to a theme park, get the scooter ready, get the oxygen ready, get all that stuff ready. Like we did Disneyland where you pay for the 3 days. She only did 1 because that's all she can do, right? So, and you as a parent, you having to manage the children's needs as well too, have to realize that she has her limits. So, I mean, it sometimes gets misconstrued with other people and the way we look, where we would RSVP for a party of 4 and then only 2 or 3 of us show up, right? And then we don't get invited to a party again. And sometimes it breaks my heart because I know the reasons, like, they're not going to show up, or but that's life with us. We are prepared for the worst constantly, right? Even if it's a family affair or something, it's like she'll be like, I can't go. I'm like, I'm not gonna force you, but sometimes she forces herself to go, and I understand that sacrifice itself. It's like, I know she's gonna be passed out as soon as she gets home. That's it. I'm not gonna be able to take her out. Sometimes I would get upset. It's like, honey, I bought the tickets already, kind of thing. But it's like, I have to like pull back and be like, okay, Aaron, you're coming with me now. We're gonna go watch this because they're not there and stuff like that. And she's the strongest person I know because she does that with a smile. She does whatever she does, she'll have to do it with a smile. Because what else are you going to do with life? Yeah. And she's become a little more cynical about things because that's natural for somebody going through what she's going through, And I just have to understand that and be the caregiver.
And another thing that we almost forgot.
Wow, we're getting really deep in this one.
Is you have to put on a face. And our wives are able to detect bullshit right away, right?
Man, yeah.
We have to put on a relaxed, positive, we know what we're doing kind of face look, so that they don't feel bad for us and just wish that everything's all over.
Yeah. No. Just this morning, and they just, because running a business and all that stuff, you have your ebbs and flows. I'm in an ebb because it's like I didn't really do a lot of work during summer, and I think it's by choice for me because it's like I get slammed, like starting FPAC and
sunod na till Christmas, till the holidays.
It's like, all right, I'm just. Are you stressed? I'm like, I'm all right. I'm okay, right? But she already knows.
Yeah,
and like trying just. Making sure that I'm good to go, so I'm kind of more strict with budgets and that kind of stuff. And this morning, she just hugged me while I'm having my coffee. I was like, admit everything, right? Mm-hmm. See, honey, you're making me cry. Why you do that? No, it's And she's like, everything's gonna be okay. I'm like, wow. It's coming from the person that has to deal with everything every single day, and I'm just glad I work mostly from home. I'm like editing videos or whatever. If she needs me, she texts me, right? Even though she's like 2 doors down. I'm available for her doctor's appointments. Sometimes it's like 8 or 10 appointments in 1 month, right? That can be stressful altogether. It's like I've seen other people with her condition not have that kind of advocacy, not have that presence to help them out, and all they do is complain on Facebook that no one's helping them out, right? And so it's like, I'm blessed that I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
I may not be, in a corporate job making 7 figures, blah blah blah, but the fact that I can take her to the hospital anytime she needs to go.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, I can go for groceries if she doesn't want to get something delivered.
Right.
Well, she's a master at Instacart. It's amazing. But yeah, that's a place. If she starts having a really bad coughing fit, I can get up and go over there and like help her out, turn on her oxygen machine, or just the beginning of the year she was really sick and she had another viral infection and medication wasn't balanced yet. So it's like I need to be available and ready for that. And that's sort of like one of the reasons I'm not working the 9 to 5, because there's no way I'd be available for that. But for God to be able to still provide, and I'm here talking to you. I'm
to be able to share
videos. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's tough, but I know God provides, and we'll make it happen, right? If doing this is easily marketable for any of our businesses, whether it's my daughter's business, my business, or FPAC, it's a blessing.
It is,
right? Thank you, Ted. By the way,
thank you, Ted Benito.
Kuya Ted, who just had a successful show at Walt Disney Concert Hall. I stayed home because we live in the mountains and there was a hurricane. It was friggin' rain. I'm just glad that nothing worse happened. I'm so glad that happened because we're up in the mountains and we're downhill. Our house is downhill, so if there's too much water, it'd be like, yeah. But it's you just have to appreciate life, and there's no other way to explain it than just like it's all God's providing, and He'll take care of you, and you shouldn't worry too much. And that hug from your wife saying "Don't worry" is the biggest thing in the world. While you're eating your coffee or you're drinking your coffee,
I'm gonna land this with this simple question: How hard or how easy was it for you to let go? To let go of your expectations and just let God take care of the rest. How? And the reason why I'm asking that is because maybe me and Michael or the people watching and listening, we all could be going through half of the stuff that you are going through and still feeling it's the end of the world for us. But then again, everything's subjective and relative, right?
Right.
But for you, how hard or how easy was it for you to let go and let God?
It's actually pretty difficult. I mean, I'm one for...
Articulate as much as possible.
So, yeah. I mean, a lot of the times I like to be in control. And I'm sure a lot of people are, do the same thing where you want to know what thing is happening, how it's happening, and you want to be able to fix things. And so for me to let go and let God was not as easy as somebody who's constantly just letting go and letting God. Because I value my time, I value my education, I value everything that I can bring to the table, and then sometimes I forget that God's in control. And there are those times, when I was in high school and college, God usually reminds me by wrecking my car. Seriously, when I'm like the Celica, the CRX, oh my gosh, when I'm going to do something stupid, yeah, that's usually when something happens to my car. There's a lot of stories, but I can't get into that right now, or else my parents will kill me. It's like, oh, that's why your car got wrecked, huh? But yeah, I'm my wife will tell you I'm stubborn. She actually wanted me to change the name of my company to Stubborn Goat.
Maybe you should listen.
I know, but I told her that's not stubborn. I'm persistent.
Okay.
That's why you married me. but yeah, you know, I'll be the first to admit that I am sometimes stubborn. Sometimes I hate the three words I hate: can't, no, and no budget. Because that's telling me that I can't do something, but all those are easily fixable in my point of view, right? Can't, well, you can always find a way to do something. No, there's always a yes to a no, right? You can always find a yes. No budget, just make the money, raise the money, right? Because I come from a fundraising background, but sometimes I'll keep sticking to that. I can do it until the point in which, like, you know what? Let's go do something else. And I get myself into trouble doing that, and get myself mentally sick. So like one of the main reasons I left my overnight shift was mental illness. So my daughter my daughter noticed that as well too. My wife noticed that. It's like, you're different. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you getting mad at the kids all the time? Like, what?
The irritability,
the
short-temperedness,
anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
So I did get I got diagnosed with it, and I was like, how the heck do I break through with this? So, as stigmatized as it is in the Filipino community, and it's like,
yes,
oh, you just pray it away. Oh, you need Jesus.
You need help.
You need help. That's what you need. And if God's providing the medical,
doctors, psychiatry, you have to go to them.
Psychologists,
psychiatrists,
medication. Got me good, right? Got me helped out. But the other thing was that the 12-hour environment overnights was lack of sleep. So it's like
it adds up.
It adds up to really messing you up, and the irritability started showing up. And when you get older, it's harder to hold that down.
Mm-hmm.
You're not as tough anymore, right? So, and the last thing I wanted is to take it out on my wife and my kids. That scared me. That really scared me. So,
so you had to let go of the 9 to 5, of the 9 to 9.
Exactly, And I'm like, okay, I'll just take 3 months of salary. We'll go to the Philippines. If I need to go back to work by March, I'll go back to work by March. That was 2020. Exactly. So, but
God's answer is, you're not going to work because of the pandemic.
But the opportunities came up.
Yeah.
It's like bread and butter was me helping out. I always want to help out people, especially smaller nonprofit. Every time I did one of those fundraisers, if I can, I would visit the site, right? So a fundraiser in Laguna, it was a nonprofit that provided housing for mentally ill patients, right? Whether they're non-functioning autistic or physically even. And to see their programs and how they help these kids out, to have, not kids, I mean, they just look like kids, but they're 20-year-olds that can't function otherwise.
Yeah.
So they have to be housed somewhere, and to help out, parents. It's just, it was a beautiful thing. And I'm like, I get to help these people out, raise money to keep their programs going. I get to help this high school out in Pasadena that has a room for pregnant teenagers so they can take care of their kids while they go to class. These little things that were like I wanted to do was just help people, and I have now given the opportunities. Now, mind you, things are now live, so people are going into either streaming or just recording or not doing anything. Also, business on that end is sort of like, okay, how do we adjust that? Well, I partnered up and built a studio in Mount Washington, where we're prepping to do TV shows and recordings and all that stuff. I'm helping out my friends with a studio in Monterey Park, right? We're doing a lot of podcasts and stuff. So it's like, okay, well, just sell these things, and business opportunities, helping out my daughter with damaged bears and all that stuff. So things are still happening, and I think it's just the early
right,
where your ebb is about to go into flow, and just be prepared. And I think that the lesson of today is just be prepared and be ready, be mentally ready, emotionally ready, and patient, be spiritually ready, because it's life is not easy, life is not fair, but if you run through life with just like with all gusto and just going for your passion, it's gonna be good. You're gonna be taken care of. And a friend of mine who's a VP over at Mattel, he's like, you know how to be successful is to find something that allows you to wake up in the morning and you love that one thing that makes you wake up in the morning. Personally, I haven't found that yet. I'm waiting for that. But while I'm looking for that, I'll help out people. And while I'm helping out people, I'm helping out FPAC. You know, I'm doing videography that I would charge like $5,000 to $1,000 a day, and be like, I'll film it for you. Why? Because it's you guys are doing something good for the community, right? All of these nonprofits that are just like, we need help. I'm down. Or even small businesses, hey, can you help me with this? I'm like, sure. You know, and it's up to you whether you pay me or whatever.
Even now, you giving us the gift of your time, you know, that's, I mean, sharing this. Yeah. So last question.
No.
Are you at peace?
Am I at peace? I'm always angry. No.
Serious? No, just kidding.
He gets it. Mike gets it. Am I at peace? I don't know if peace is the word. I mean, I'm not satisfied, but I'm contented.
Slip of the tongue, look. I'm content.
No, I'm contented. You know, I'm at peace at certain things. I know I struggle with other things, but there's that drive that says you're not done, and that's what keeps me not in peace. So if there's still a fight, you know. At this age, like my goal ever since I started working was like I'll be retired by 45. And now when I hit 45, I'm like, I'm not retired yet, but I'm not working for anyone.
Right? You're having fun at 45.
Yeah. And if it took this long, even like my friend Derek Bosco, he's like, go back into acting. I'm like, I don't know. And then I auditioned for a thing. I'm like, maybe. Why not? Right?
Why not?
But it's I've always been like heart mind, like are always struggling, fighting each other. There's this thing.
Who normally wins?
None of them. Look at your palm. Look at your palm, right? So one line is supposed to be your heart. The other one is your head, right? You either think with your head.
So this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I forgot which one is which, but if one is above the other, then you think more with your heart than your head. And different people have different lines. I have that. I have one line. Nobody else in my family has this.
Oh man, I have two. Oh.
It's like I don't believe in this stuff, but the fact that it for me.
Let me see your other hand.
Same. Two. And then you go like this and it goes Munda.
Oh man.
Munda power. No, but there's both a balance and conflict between head and heart, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it prevents me from doing things like the apprehension, but sometimes you just have to go and do it, right? When I started with Power Rangers, you know,
when you what?
I was in Power Rangers, the movie. I did stunts, but I came in as an extra, and then they're like, we need some people with stunt experience. I'm like, I didn't have stunt experience.
Did you wear the costume?
I didn't wear the power. I did the Piranatrons, the bad guys.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't have stunt experience. I'm like, okay, let's get you in there. You do this, you jump, blah, blah, blah. And did that for 2 years, right? Universal Studios, right? I did Halloween Horror Nights. And I was just a little scare actor, right? And they're like, hey, we're looking for people who can do bungee jumping. Never bungee jumped.
You raised your hand for that?
Bungee jump training, just lock me in. All right, ready? 3, 2, and right before I would jump, wait. that. And I did bungee jumping. So cross that off the list. You know, it's like, sometimes you gotta do what you fear, and just get over yourself. A lot of times it's your own sort of like ego that holds you back. A lot of Filipinos, that's the same thing too.
Right.
It's like they think more in their comfort zone, right? That nurse is a singer or a Jabberwocky. Sorry, Joe Coy, I stole your joke, but but you know, we're in a time now that it's great to be Filipino, and I didn't think I was going to be back into this industry. It was Jennifer Paz that like, let me introduce you to Ted Benito. Let me introduce you to so-and-so. Let me introduce you to... And then she's like, oh, can you help me out with this? And it like introduced me to so many people after like 20 years of not being involved in the Filipino community. To have a friend that would do that for you.
Amen.
And she would always say, hey, he's the Swiss Army knife. Whatever you want him to do, he'll do it. And no one believed me until Ted's like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Oh, yeah, sure. Graphics. There. Can you do sound? I'm like, yeah, I'll do sound. So I did sound for Pacific Ballet or Philippine Ballet. So it's like, you know, I'm starting to use that arsenal that I built up of skills,
right,
and do that. So then just don't be afraid. God will take care of you. Do what you need to do. And look, I'm hanging out with a Filipino music legend.
Thanks for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, right. Emmanuel Munda.
Yeah. Oh, we got a theme song. Thank you.
Everything that we talked about will be in the description. So just like, subscribe, comment, encourage, share, and Jing Jing, thank you for your time.
Oh, you're family now. You're Jing Jing. All right.
Yes, sir. God bless.
Thank you, Paco.